Hello and welcome to CCL TV. My name is Charlene Smith. Today we're at XL London for the White Label World Expo event. And joining me today is the CEO and founder of CCL, Mr. Rudee Bertie.
Yeah, no, thanks for the big up. Nice.
How are you?
Yeah, good. And you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, nice.
Right, Rudee, before we get started, give us a bit of background about yourself.
Background. How far do you want to go back?
Well, it depends how far you can go back.
Okay, so as let me go all the way back.
way back.
Yeah, so I grew
back
up
in the day.
I grew up not far from Heathrow Airport. As a little boy, I used to see these aircraft flying across, and I used to think to myself, one day I'm going to be on one of these. I didn't know where it was going, where it was coming from, but one day I thought, you know what, I'm going to be on this aircraft. I'm going to be flying somewhere. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't know where else. I just didn't know, right? But I knew I wanted to be somewhere. Anyway, so going through my school life, etc., I went through like all the school activities, as in sports. You know, everybody wanted to be a footballer or like an athlete. Then I got into like a little bit of acting, a little bit of singing, you know, a little bit of dancing and all that kind of stuff. But it didn't quite work out how I wanted it to work out. You know, it wasn't real, was it? Right? It was more of like passion. And it was more like, this is something that, you know, that you enjoy doing, especially like the football side of stuff. Everybody wanted to make it. I didn't make it. A couple of friends of mine did, but it was hard work. Anyway, my dad said to me, you need to get a real job. Right? So,
as parents always say, you know, you have your dream of what you want to do.
Yeah, so I went and I got myself an apprenticeship in freight forwarding. And it's quite ironic because freight forwarding kind of led me to the airport. I had no idea there was anything called freight forwarding. The airport is right on my doorstep, and you're thinking that people are just jumping on airplanes and they're going on holiday, right? You're not actually thinking that that these aircraft are carrying goods across the world, right? So when I was that little boy looking out the window, these things kind of lead into something, yeah? So, yeah, I served my apprenticeship, and I just worked my way within the company. Started off in the accounts department. Then I went into the import department, and then after a short while I realised I needed to move on to learn a bit more, get some more experience, and I left that business, went to another company, left that one, went to another one, you know what I mean, as you do, you keep on moving around. Then one day I decided that, you know what, I could do this myself. I saw all the opportunities and stuff out there, and I decided I can do this myself. You know, I don't want to sound like big-headed or anything, but wherever I went, it didn't really represent the way that I saw the business going. So I thought, you know, I'm going to do this myself, and I'm going to show these people, right, how I want it to be done, as to speak, right? But obviously staying within the rules and regulations and the confines of the industry and stuff, and that's really what happened. So after a few attempts, CCL, probably about 3 or 4 attempts, CCL was born in 1999. It was me and another guy, we started. He's since retired from the business. CCL is like 23 years this year, and yeah, we've just gone from strength to strength, and yeah, we took the industry by storm. I like it to be known that I like it to be known that we're the market leaders in gateway logistics for e-commerce, right? Not the market leaders for every gateway, but gateway logistics for e-commerce.
So your biggest inspiration behind setting up CCL is literally that little boy that was looking out the window near Heathrow Airport.
just sitting there wondering, I wonder where these aircraft are going, and you know, and where all these people are going. I had no idea at that particular point that these aircraft were carrying goods. Right now, our biggest customers move air freight. Right, it's all about, for us, it's not all about air freight, but the majority, 70% of what we do is air freight, 30% is ocean. Right? Air freight because it's quick. Ocean, it takes you a couple of weeks. Right, so everything we do is fast. It's fast.
Fast-paced, quick environment.
Yeah, exactly. Right, you buy, for example, if you're a consumer, you buy something online. If it comes from overseas, like you're going to have no idea it's coming from overseas. Right, that's where we get involved.
Okay.
Right, so you order it. They say, maybe it'd be 2 or 3 day delivery. That 2 or 3 day delivery, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to get that, and that's where we get involved. We fill in the gaps, do all the cross-border, the customs, make sure it's ready for handover, for delivery. Yeah, so, yeah.
quite a lot that goes in there, doesn't it?
There's a lot. There's quite a bit.
I mean, obviously you've got a fundamental role there as the CEO and founder of CCL.
Yeah.
But something tells me that you've got like something exciting in your background and you used to be an MC. I mean, do you just want to touch on that a little bit? Just so we can get to understand you a little bit more.
Oh, like I said, going back to the beginning, that was all about, when you have pipe dreams.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're living in pipe dreams, everybody wants to be somebody. Mm-hmm. Right? When you see Run DMC or Heavy D, right? And you want to emulate, you want to be that person, right? So for the longest while, we had a group and we used to rehearse and whatnot, built a studio and whatnot, and decided that we wanted to do things ourselves. We couldn't really afford to go to the big recording companies, and tell the truth, they didn't really understand what we did anyway, mm-hmm. right? So we just did it ourselves, and that was the life. But obviously I didn't make it in music because I'm sitting there doing logistics, right? So
wise decision, give up the music, do logistics.
Yeah, of course, yeah, it is. Yeah, this is much more fulfilling. Right? I think in the music industry or in the entertainment world, you got to work a bit harder, and sometimes you probably got to sell your soul to the devil to get to the next level, right? But regarding in this freight logistics industry, people sell their soul to me to get to the next level.
You're the boss man in this field.
All right, cut. No,
right. Enough about the music now. I mean, from reading your bio as well, it seems you were instrumental in implementing the first eCommerce in logistics.
Yeah.
Can you explain this to us?
Yeah, so going back probably, I would say 2001, mm-hmm. right, as early as 2001, I had this one particular client that were importing clothing from like Hong Kong and India, right? And it wasn't just clothing; it was like suits and garments, dresses and stuff like that, but mainly tailored suits. So it's tailor wear. And what this particular company were doing, they were flying in from India and Hong Kong, because India and Hong Kong are big tailor countries, and they were advertising the newspaper, like the Daily Mail or the Evening Standard, and they would advertise saying, right, for a week they're going to be in this particular hotel in Mayfair or wherever in the West End, and people will come down to the hotel, they get measured up, right, they pay their deposit, and then the guys will go away, then they'll make whatever suit bespoke, to order. And so we started doing that for the longest while in regards to, so we approached these guys, or they approached us and said, look, we need like a faster, kind of more turnaround type of solution. Can you import the stuff for us, right? Then that went from a situation where they stopped coming over, right? Then it went to a situation where they had online orders. Then they went online, like websites and whatnot, you know what I mean? So I got people to measure up themselves and everything. Yeah. Then we got involved in that, and that's more or less where it all kind of happened, right? We didn't know it was e-commerce then. We just thought it was just a hybrid of the suit, the tailors being made, and we just didn't know it was e-commerce. But that was, if you want, the fundamental start of, what's classified as e-commerce kind of shipments, e-commerce kind of movement, and e-commerce orders today. Okay. Right, so that's more or less where it came from. There's others, but I could be here like forever. But but that's more or less around that 2000, 2001, 2002 type of time. Right, okay. And then the opportunity was like, oh wow, that's a great opportunity. Right, I need to get involved in this a bit more. Then you start to research a bit more, mm-hmm. and you research and you try to understand how it all works. Then you put a bit more finance behind, and a bit more market behind what you're trying to achieve. And then you start going to different networking events where some of these particular companies are going to be hanging out, right? And you just turn up, right? They don't know what you're doing there. You don't know what you're doing there. You just turn up, and you just jump on the opportunity when you seize it.
So like today here at the Excel at this event, how beneficial is it for CCL to be here today?
For CCL to be here is big, it's massive, right? Because all the footfall coming through, all these people walking up and down, right? They're getting to see the CCL brand, mm-hmm. right? They may not understand exactly what it is that we do, right? But the more marketing, the more exposure that we give ourselves, then the more it's gonna stick in the minds. And if you look around, you've got more people wearing
CCL,
lanyards,
representing.
Right? Yeah. Right. If you ain't got one of these now, you need to get one.
I'm in there.
Well, there you go. Because in a few years, these are going to be gold dust.
There you go. You've heard it here first.
You're going to see them on eBay. They're going for like hundreds of thousands. Right. So don't get yours dirty. Right.
I won't. I'm taking it
on.
off right away and putting it in a nice box, keeping it safe.
Exactly that.
What makes CCL propositions so unique, and why are CCL leaders in e-commerce gateway logistics?
Okay, so we're unique in the fact that we're involved in logistics, but we concentrate on the specialist area, as in customs brokerage, right? So if you think about it, there's a lot of companies out there that involve themselves in e-commerce. So they get involved in e-commerce logistics, but there's always a missing part. And the missing part for them is always a customs brokerage. So you've got the first mile, you've got the final mile. They go out there, they sell that first mile and final mile service to the industry or to the consumer, to the retailers. But they always forget about customs clearance. So you probably had a situation where you've ordered something online and then you've had the delivery company turn up and say, well, you have to pay us X amount before you can receive your goods.
Yeah.
Right? But you're like, well, nobody told us that. Yeah.
They weren't on the P&B.
Exactly. I bought the goods, right? I have the goods, I bought the goods, right? And but nobody's actually told me about the duty and tax. That's where we came in. So we came in, we understood that whole area of duty and tax because that's our speciality, and we kind of like we kind of worked within that area with the industry, so to make it more of a seamless proposition for them, right? So the uniqueness of what CCL do, we are the customs broker first and foremost, right? And as a customs broker, right, we understand the cross-border logistics side of the industry.
Okay.
Right. So that's why people come to us. We're not offering, delivery services. That's not where we come in. So our customers will come to us for that gateway solution, inbound and outbound, and to protect their duties and taxes, and to do duty and VAT reclaims if something cannot be delivered or it has to go back to the sending station. I mean, so again, there's a lot involved in what we do, and to sit here and try to explain it, right, you probably need to get your dictionary out to understand some of the words that I talk.
You're the dictionary today, Rudee.
and abbreviations, because we talk all about abbreviations, right? And it's an exciting area to be in right now.
Can you give us like a little insight into what a day at the CCL office or warehouse may look like?
Well, my day is...
Your day,
my day,
CEO, the boss man.
My day is very relaxed. So I come in, turn the TV on, see what flavour coffee to have.
I'm clearly in the wrong job.
Say hello to a few people. No, it's like, okay, so we're like a 24-hour operation, right? So the warehouse, around peak time, we're 24/7, right? Off-peak time, so off-peak is normally after December or after January, right? And on-peak is like October onwards. So we're 24-hour operation. When the warehouse isn't open, people are still on their emails, right? Because we're sitting here in the center of the universe, as to speak, because we're dealing with different continents, right? So we're awake 1 hour after the rest of Europe, right? We're awake 5 hours before East Time USA, right? 7 hours ahead of West Coast USA. You got Asia, which is 7 hours ahead. Australia, which are like 12 hours ahead of where we are, right? So we're always in contact with the rest of the world. So that's why we're continuous, right? And we have to be alert to what's going on around us. So we come in, staff, when I come in, the staff's already there doing what they're doing. And when I leave, staff are still there, continuing doing what they're doing, right? So a typical day is everything works at a fast pace, right? Shipments come in, we turn them around and they go out, right? So in an ideal day, we probably could handle maybe easily, probably 500,000 parcels.
Wow.
Yeah, when they're coming in and out the door.
Wow.
Right? And that's the amount of parcels that we actually handle. Like every year, it grows year on year. So we're looking at a situation where I think last year we've done over 32 million packages, right? So all that stuff that you're buying on Amazon. Right?
Constant shopping.
At least one package belongs to you.
Keeping you guys busy.
Exactly, right? So, Yeah, but from morning to night, the guys are in there, warehouse are moving goods around. The customs broker side of the business, we're clearing goods through customs, answering queries, answering customers' queries, dealing with the authorities like Customs, Border Force, etc. The sales guys are consistently out there looking for new areas to expose CCL, looking at different opportunities, right? So we're globally traveling and scaling the market to see where the next opportunity is going to come in.
And what would you say has been your biggest challenge so far to date?
In recent times, I would say the pandemic and Brexit in recent times. And technology overall would probably be the biggest challenge, because it means if you don't have technology, you can't adapt to how the industry is going to portray itself, right? So very early on, we started to see changes in the industry, and we couldn't keep up with demand, right? So we tried to buy technology, tried to buy software off the counter, off the shelf, but there's nothing out there which was unique to us, or not even close. So we developed it ourselves, right? So we now develop our own software, and we dictate now to the market how the market is going to perceive us. Whereas before it's like, okay, have you got this software? And we're like, no, well, you can't have the business. But now we're like, well, in order to work with us, you need to use our software. You see what I mean? So that was a big challenge. That it's continuous because it changes all the time. But now we have that software capability. We kind of ride those challenges a bit more confidently, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. And you've also now got CCL TV as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the thinking behind setting up CCL TV, and where do you sort of see it going in the future?
Well, going back to my music days.
This is your time to shine.
I had this vision of having my own TV program where I could sing and dance. No.
All right, give us a little cameo right now, Rudee. Go on.
No, forget that. No, with the CCL TV, it's like years ago we started using the technology and stuff, right? By having digital newsletters, sending those out, incorporating that into our website, etc. And we just went with it, right? So that's how. So for example, we went to a conference, and if we collected like 500 business cards, we'll put those business cards onto a spreadsheet, and then we'll send out newsletters, etc., right? But since this whole GDPR business, you've got to be careful about who you're contacting, who you're talking to, and how you actually reaching out to people. Since the first lockdown, the whole reason why we're sitting here now talking is because we still wanted to reach those said customers, but in that time, you had a bit more time to think about what you wanted to do. So I figured, well, we're not going to send newsletters, right? We might send a news article and attach whatever stories you want attached to it, but we're not going to send newsletters as we did before. So we're going to start interviewing, or we're going to start talking, having a conversation, right? Which turned into, we've got participants on, then it turned into like an interview kind of situation. We had some where we're doing like a discussion, and it's just evolved from there. And then we decided, okay, how do we take this to the next level? So we struck up relationships or deals with existing networks such as this one here, and we said, look, this is what we're thinking of doing, what do you think, right? Suck and see where you go. And it's just like a hybrid organic kind of situation. Now that people are able to come out of their homes and offices and they're getting to more events, etc., we decided we're going to come to the events, and we're going to we set up a booth like this, and we're going to talk to people real time. Right? So that's really where it came from.
And I guess it's more engaging as well. You perhaps get more of an audience as opposed to someone sitting there reading. They're actually able to watch you and engage more.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And I used to sit there, and I've watched loads of podcasts, right? And I've listened to lots, from the Spotify's and the YouTube and stuff. But the one that always caught me was AFTV. Seriously, right?
Why is that?
Well, obviously, like being a football supporter, being an Arsenal supporter first and foremost, and like a purist. I don't just jump on and jump off, right? And just to get the interaction of normal people, right? I figured, you know what? I can do this in the logistics area, right? Get people on that know about the industry. Let's talk to the people behind the industry, and let's and let's see where it goes, right? Obviously, I weren't looking to have like X amount of million viewers and all that kind of stuff. You know, that's not what it's all about. For me, it's just to interact with the industry and build a platform for the industry to come to, so the industry could talk about them basically and talk about what they like, what they don't like. And look, so far it's been good. We're still here, so we're successful, right? We're recruiting and stuff all the time. So yeah, so far so good.
Do you think you could perhaps see other people in this industry sort of following suit as well with what CCL TV?
Yeah, probably.
is?
You see them out there, you know. You see them out there like taking notes and stuff, asking certain subtle questions, you know. And so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
And how did your relationship evolve with DHL?
Oh, that was a good relationship. Oh, that's a good conception to a nice relationship, because that started off in probably maybe 2005, and the relationship is still going strong now, right? So really and truly, how that happened, again, being traveling, going to these events worldwide, ended up in this bar in Dubai, and one of the guys representing DHL at the time, he said, look, before I get too hammered, right, he said, I'm going to give you my business card, because by tomorrow, I'm probably not going to remember why I'm talking to you tonight. Right?
Take it now.
Right? So we had the conversation, and he's like, look, I've just had a problem. It's landed on my desk. I don't know how to deal with it. They told me something, and they call it e-commerce. But you're the go-to guy, so you can fix it for me. And I said, okay. So we had that conversation. Anyway, so the next day, I never heard from him, right? The next month, I never heard from him. And I thought, just one of them ones, right? But then give it like 2 or 3 months later, he contacted me. And lo and behold, he was literally a drive around the corner from where my office was. So I went down there and we had the conversation, and what it was like replica football shirts that have been imported in from Thailand and Malaysia, and they weren't being declared properly, right? And at this particular department, they didn't do private imports, but we did. So this is where the opportunity came in, and since then I haven't looked back. It's one of those kind of situations where you went in there, you helped them out, you told them what they were doing wrong, how they could make it right? And you have to remember as well, like when you talk about a company like DHL, they have so many different departments, right? So not to just label DHL don't know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Under one umbrella, but this particular department, they were more specialists in mail, right? They weren't specialists, or they weren't involved in commercial, right? And because we're involved in commercial and not mail, that's where we got the opportunity, and we're still dealing with them today. So we don't do DHL domestic. It's all the international stuff, right? So which is known as DHL eCommerce.
Okay.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts around B2B e-commerce, and where does CCL sort of fit into this?
B2B e-commerce is again, that's a big one for us, right? Because you got B2B, right? So business to business. And then you've got B2B2C, right, which is business to business consumer. So our big area is the B2B2C, business to consumer. That's, people going online making orders. So we strike up relationships always. So we like I said, we kind of travel the world looking for relationships with like 3PLs, that's third-party logistics operators, and we look for consolidators, that's consolidator businesses that incorporate the 3PL, that incorporate a lot more packages from various different companies, and they consolidate them all together. Then they use our service to gateway into the UK and other parts of Europe, right? So that's always continuous for us. It's important, and again, business to business could be like your FBA, so that's like Amazon fulfillment, so fulfillment by Amazon, that type of model. We have to be in that place, because if we don't, right, then we're not in business, right? So we concentrate always with business to business. That could be on air, could be on ocean, could be on road. Nowadays, more on road because of the EU 27. Right? It used to be EU 28, but we're no longer part of the
EU.
Yeah. So now we've got 27 other countries to deal with, right? Which is good for us, right? So whereas before we didn't have to deal with 27 other countries as a gateway, right? Now we have to. Or they have to deal with us, right? Because we're a border all around now. Get what I mean? So, Yeah, so
All right.
so business is looking bright, as they say, and it's looking good.
Which is how we want it.
Yeah, so as long as we continue and as long as we carry on to evolve the way that we're going, and we're doing events like this, and we're actually getting our name out there and we're getting our brand out there. So as long as we continue to do that, then we're going to be good.
And how frequently would you say CCL sort of attend events like these?
Ooh, in the good old days before lockdown,
COVID.
yeah, we probably once a month, probably. Yeah, we like traveling. Yeah, basically traveling everywhere. Sometimes twice a month. So on average, I would say 12 a year. And sometimes, look, you have one person go, or you have a team. Like last week, or the week before, we had 7 people out in Miami, right? And we had the crew out there and whatnot. And yeah, it was successful because we got a lot of exposure. And it's one of these events that I've been going to myself for the past 16 years, right? So it's one of these circuits that I know my way around, right? So every year I've got to be conscious. I've got to bring something different. Do you know what I mean?
Keep it nice and fresh.
Yeah, I have to, right? Because you can see the people talking and stuff, right? So I always bring something different. And this time we brought the CCL TV, and other people, some people got it, other people didn't get it. But that's not down to me to determine whether they understand it or not, right? I'm just putting it there. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows? You know what I mean? Let's see where the doors open.
See where it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I've actually been doing a bit of homework on you as well, Rudee.
Oh my goodness.
And what I found is that you actually performed live on Top of the Pops performance. Now, you got to share this with the audience. You have to share it.
All right. First thing was, it weren't actually Top of the Pops. Right?
Oh, what was it?
Yeah. Everyone says it's Top of the Pops, but it wasn't. It was a show called A Hitman and Her. Right? The Top of the Pops would have come if I got into the top 40, but my charting number was 41.
Oh, I had a feeling you was going to say 41.
Yeah, it was 41. Right, and it's like, right, because I was all ready to go on there, and they said, no, don't worry, you're going to come in at number 35, whatever. But it stopped at 41. Right, so then, yeah, so it was the Hitman and Her show, and this was by like Pete Waterman and Michaela Strack, and it was in a nightclub, and yeah, we went on there, it was live, and all my family stayed up to record it.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, so yeah, it was good. It's kind of like your claim to fame. It's like the first, because it was on national TV throughout the whole country, right? So yeah, before Sky and all that. So we had like ITV or whatever it's called.
1 to 5.
Yeah, that's the one. And it was it was decent. I had good dance moves and everything. So.
I mean, we're sat here, you've got a mic in your hand, there's
Exactly.
a camera, we've got a little audience. Can we hear a few lyrics from you, perhaps?
No, my throat, man, Yeah, my throat. And I got some high-profile customers out there. They might not appreciate it. And
You
plus,
might draw them in a bit more.
and plus, my back's hurting me. So, so next time.
All right, listen, Rudee, I want to ask you as well. If
Yeah.
you were stuck on a desert island and you can only have one album or book, what would it be for you?
It's going to be an album, right? It'll be Survival, Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Now,
Yeah.
Bob Marley, he's a massive inspiration to you.
Yeah.
What is it about him and his music that inspires you so much?
It's conscious, and he kept it real. And even now, today, right, his music going back 30, 40 years ago is still real for today, right? It's still relevant. There's still conflicts in the world, there's still brutality, there's still corruption and all kinds of stuff. And if you've got somebody speaking for the people and fighting for the people, right, that's what I represent as well, right? Maybe not on stage or, I ain't no freedom fighter running out there, but I believe in all the conscious mind settling of, and that, as a young kid, it kind of drew me in, right? But that particular album, Survival, because that is all about, war and brutality and, so.
Is that something that you still listen to today as well?
Yeah, I listen to it all the time. We actually went to Get Up, Stand Up down at the Lyric Theatre on the weekend, right? And my daughter was with me. She's grown up on all this music, and she's like, you know what? I'm so surprised. Every single song they played, I know every song. Maybe not word for word, but she knew the songs, right? But me as a kid, I know the songs word for word, right? So any karaoke that's coming up.
We know what Rudee's going to sing.
Yeah, don't try and get me to sing any Bucks Fizz or anything like that, right? Just strictly Bob Marley. And then
There we
I've
go.
got it, yeah? All right.
Oh, well, Rudee, it's been so lovely speaking to
Yeah,
you.
nice
Thank
one.
you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Charlene. Yeah,
Thank
it's been a
you.
pleasure.
Brilliant.
All right, nice. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.